All right, so as you can see, we still got our huge mess from last weekend. Haven't really worked on this thing all week. So this weekend, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to cut off all of the leftover pieces there on the frame from where this was boxed in, like down here and here. It's really easy to make a mess, but it always sucks when it comes time to clean it up. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And then also today, I plan on making the bracket for these front lowers, and then also making the tube that goes from that bracket up to our backbone. And we'll make some cross braces for the lowers down here as well. So hopefully we'll get this cleaned up. We'll get all of our bracing made, and then we'll be pretty much to the point where all we have to do is do some finish welding, clean that up, and then by next weekend the frame will be ready for body work and paint. So that's kind of the plan. That's what I'm shooting for. First thing we're going to do today though is clean up our mess, get it nice and clean, get a good work surface going, and make sure that that's all ready. So here we go. All right, so we got our workbench all cleaned up, ready to get to work. It's going to get messy again, but you know, at least we started off with a clean work surface. There's the old section to the frame right there. So that's the back half of it. You can see where we cut the bottom off. And then right up here is where we cut the backbone. And then a bunch of other scrap pieces from us cutting this thing up into a million pieces. So we got her all cleaned up. Had to take a quick break and have a beer. But one of the things I noticed when I was cleaning this up was that this lower neck brace that we're leaving is just tacked in there. So we're going to finish weld the top of it right here. And we'll finish weld it all the way around the neck. And then we'll get started on our braces. Got that cleaned up pretty well. And she's ready to weld. Got her all welded up. Turned out pretty good. So now we're going to get started on this crossbar here and this crossbar here. So I just went through my scrap metal and found this piece of scrap here. We got our calipers here just to see how thick the frame is. And then we matched it up with this down here. As you can see, it's just a tad thicker, but it's really like so minute that you probably won't even notice it. And it's what I got, and it's free, so that's what we're gonna make work. So I was getting ready to drill our hole. This was the hole saw bit that was in my little setup for cutting tubing, and this is the one I wanted to use. But as luck would have it, this one's 25 millimeter shank, this one's 32 millimeter shank. So I guess we're off to the hardware store to get the correct hole saw bits that we need. Alright, got a super cheap hole saw kit, but it comes with an adapter right there so that we can run our other bit on our hole saw setup. Looks like we're back in action. That adapter worked out pretty well. And so this is my little setup, cordless drill, going into one of these guides that helps you cut a nice angle. This is obviously set right now at 90 degrees, perfectly straight up and down, which will work good for our frame. This is not how this is intended to be used. You're supposed to have it in a drill press, but I don't have a drill press, so I'm making it work. And so yeah, we'll go ahead, we'll get started cutting, and we'll get one of those guys knocked out. So like I said before, this diameter of this tubing is just a hair bigger than what we have. And you can see it's just literally just a hair's width. So we'll clean up those edges and get rid of those end pieces, and then we'll be ready to test fit it. So it looks like we got a nice tight fit. So what we're going to do now is we'll measure the distance in between here and here, just to figure out where our next cut is going to be, and then we'll go from there. So I bought the cheapo cheesy hole saw kit just to get this adapter right here, so I can run both size bits with this one setup. And I learned something. Always spend good money on your hole saw bits. This is an old Cobalt one that I got. It was on sale, and it's like middle of the road, but I've used it a bunch of times and it's still working good. The hole saw bit that I bought with the kit, I used it a half of a tube, and you can see all the teeth are missing already. Completely smooth. So that just shows you, spend up on the hole saw bits because it's worth it in the long run. So we got our little cross tubes cut out, mocked up. There's the bottom one. There's the top one. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to tack them in place, and then we'll get the motor in there to figure out what angle we want this crossbar at. I can always move it forward if I want to by taking a little bit more out, or I can move it down a little bit more and tack it up here if we want more of an angle. I think that's about where I want it. So like I said, we're just tacking it for now. And then we'll flip it over, we'll get the motor in there, and we'll make sure that our cross tube is going to be right where we want it. Once again, we have made a huge mess out of the bench, but that's all right, we can clean it up. So this came out exactly like I wanted it to. We got that bar across the front, which we need to finish weld. We just wanted to make sure that that was going to be the proper placement for that. We got the bar across the front on the bottom. We just need to finish weld that too. Want to make sure nothing else was going to get in the way, motor mounts, anything like that. And then we got the bar across the top to the backbone, and I really like how that came out. My whole idea was I wanted it to follow the jug just like the backbone does. The backbone follows the line of the jug. This follows the line of the jug. A lot of people will go and they'll take this bar and they'll put it like over to the neck tube up here, and it leaves a small window. I liked the idea of having the bigger window like that. So yeah, it's coming together. It's looking good. So that's where we're at. I think next weekend we're going to go ahead and we will finish weld all the stuff that we put in today. Then we're going to go ahead and clean up all the frame as far as like sanding and all that stuff goes, get it ready for a primer. And then maybe get a coat of primer on it next weekend. We'll see. But I think we're cruising right along. As always, no need to like, no need to subscribe. I'm just doing this to show other people it can be done. And then also, you know, maybe hopefully it'll inspire some people to chop theirs up.